my approach is really quite consistent. I don't know why people think that I change all the time. I actually don't, you know, I do the same thing. I really do. I mean, I tend to, whatever it is, I kind of tend to stew it in this kind of vaudevillian-based English idea of pop music. It's rock meets pop, it's soul meets pop, it's in all its Dickie Pride tackiness.
Do you find your thoughts now much different than they were 74?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
What were you living for back then?
To be on the crest of a wave of excitement, where every kid feels as though everything's going to be over at 30, you know, and then it's all over. Because we were told that in the 60s. You know, never trust anybody over 30 and all that kind of thing. And you really kind of have, and you don't really realize the potential in yourself for enjoying life in a slower and more meditative fashion when you're that age. And you really live for the moment, which is great. I think young people should live for the moment to a certain extent. I think it provides the energy and the anger that keeps society moving on and progressing. But there does come a point where you become quietly sage-like about what you're doing.
Do you need anger in your life anymore to get the creative juices flowing? Where do you find that anger these days?
I find it. I have my demons that I can summon up, you know, for those particular moments. I was always, I guess I was always a culture vulture. You know, ever since I was a kid, I had an insatiable curiosity about how we worked as a society and how culture is put together and why we make the choices that we make and what's kitschy about it and what's serious about it. And I'd read everything that was new. I'd look at everything that was new. I'd see every movie. I'd go to theatre as often as I could afford it. I was never singularly a rock person in that way. When I was young, it just became clear that what would really satisfy me is if I could put all my enthusiasms into the thing that I'd chosen to do, which was rock music. And if there's some way of informing my work with all those things that excite me, then that probably would be a good thing to do. And that's never dissipated. I mean, I feel it's almost as awkwardly excited today about just getting up and getting through the day as I probably more so in some periods in my life. I haven't lost one iota of enthusiasm for life. I'm extremely lucky that way. I really am. It really is a blessing. I kind of clawed my way through the rest of the 80s, feeling pretty much out of sync with it because I was kind of left dangling. I didn't know if I was supposed to be in a commercial marketplace or where my excitement about writing, and of course one went with the other. Because I was working in the commercial marketplace, my excitement was depleted. I didn't have much left, and it wasn't until kind of '88, meeting Reeves Cabrels and forming Tin Machine, that I really felt that I was back on course, and things generally started to get back into sync in late 80s, 90s, and I felt excited again, you know. So I've got that going for myself.
Did you get tired of being a musical, a rock god cult hero that had nothing to show for it? I mean, was that what that descent into commercialism was about?
The rock god thing is something that, you know, you hold on to desperately for, you know, whatever else you're doing. If you're an artist or something like that. But I mean, remember, our priorities are rock god, artist. Which almost comes above the lyrical content. It's not, I don't have great passionate things I want to say lyrically. The whole mass of sound becomes a texture and hopefully an ambience and a kind of atmosphere. I want music to create an alternative or a counter atmosphere. It's the sexes in the rhythm. And being a very sexual person, that's very important for me, that it moves me. I think it was Socrates that said, no, actually it was Plato, that the artist is positively useless because he can't explain how he does what he does. Therefore, why should anybody take any notice of what his subject matter is? Because if he can't even explain how he does what he does, why should we put any faith in his actual statements when they do come out? And that really makes me feel inadequate, because I haven't a clue how, or what I do. I don't know what I do. I don't know what I do. I just know I enjoy it, and the end result often sends me spinning off somewhere. I mean, it's kind of give myself little trips with the stuff that I write.
The whole essence of fame, you know, the fact that you can put yourself up on the stage before 400,000 people and suddenly become vulnerable. And I remember that for the Young Americans album, you wrote that song Fame with John Lennon.
Yeah.
Who, to me, paid the ultimate price and was the ultimate victim of fame.
Yeah.
How do you deal
What's the question?
How do you deal with that in the 1980s? After a tragedy like that as well.
It's a subject I wouldn't even comment on. I think that it's, since time immemorial, it's the two areas that the human struggles with continuously are sex and violence. And those are the two areas that the church doesn't embrace. So you're kind of left with no arena to manifest those feelings of fear and terror, the seductiveness of relationships in the sexual area. And I kind of think that's what popular culture does, is soak up the residue that the Judeo-Christian ethic won't really confront. So I think it's a perfectly natural thing that happens. That doesn't condone it. And I'm not sure where I would be in condoning it. All I can say is that I find it extremely understandable. This was done with so little forethought. We came crashing into the studio with exuberant spirits from this summer festival tour that we did. And my main directive was that we should try and capture the energy of the band as we had been for this last 6 months, on disc somehow, CD disc. And Reeves and I wrote it between us, maybe 8 or 9 days, I think, in all. And the thing was fully recorded in 3 weeks, entirely, absolutely. And so I think we successfully kind of did our photograph of what we're like right now. And I haven't a clue what it's about. I just don't know. I mean, it was so stream of consciousness. There may be 2 that were written in any kind of narrative form, but the rest of it just went. We just hit the ground at 100 miles an hour and just went for it. And it's an expression of attitude and excitement more than anything else. And that's supported by lyric and music. But the lyric and music side of it are almost an afterthought.
Jungle are all the rage.
For me, that's where the future excitement lies, you know. Yeah. Well, it's where the excitement is right now, if you go and look for it. I mean, it's just tremendous.
That really struck us at the Phoenix Festival. To see the Prodigy on stage was
great. I mean, we were doing those shows like that all summer. I mean, we were totally immersed in it, and you couldn't come off something like that and not be really sort of, you know, it was like we just had to get in the studio. We were so excited that because we knew we were really good too. I mean, we were really holding our own out there, you know, and it was just great. It was great.
That actually triggers something that I've been thinking about a lot preparing for this interview. You're turning 50, and obviously you're going out with that rather than.
I'm enjoying it so much. I'm going to do this every year. I'm going to be 50 from this point onwards for the rest of time as we know it.